Hey, what's up everybody? This is Abraham Anadi Heisler, and I got into yoga and meditation before it was cool, before it was a thing. This was way back in the 90s. And since then, I've traveled a lot, and going from place to place, transformational festival to yoga scene, so on and so forth, I've noticed one thing interesting. Even though the message is about coming together, getting past our superficial differences, the majority of people in the scene that I've come across look like me, white. Coming from New York City, where diversity is just a way of life, this question of where's the diversity in the conscious scene has been on my mind for a long time. So I sat down with some friends of mine who are people of color in the conscious community and perform at transformational festivals, and wanted to hear what they had to say.
The question is, why are there not as many people of color at these events or experiences? It can go how deep you want to go. It's like, people don't even have access to healthy food in the hood, or where most people that are of color grew up, they didn't have access to jobs certain generations ago, or access to certain resources. So I think these things all systematically come into play. It's a deep question, and I think it all connects.
I think what's going on, like when I think about it, just generally speaking, is like when you have people of color and a history of, exploitation and suppression and literally being beaten down, two things happen: a lack of knowledge and a lack of trust. So lack of knowledge is that, your culture and has been like literally stripped away from you. So I think what we're dealing with is the residual effects of that. Also lack of trust. Like if someone's doing that to you, what are you gonna do? You're gonna stay, doing your thing and like don't look outside of what you know and what you know to be safe.
And I do think for certain festivals where there's more of an emphasis on like commerce, that can be kind of a deterrent, or like how expensive it is to go to some festivals is not great. So I think it's just like not everyone can pay $400 to go to a 3-day festival. That's like half of people's rent sometimes. People at different income levels should also have access because they have valuable information to contribute as well. And if we don't include them, then we're missing stuff.
I feel like it's a beautiful thing that these festivals exist. They're teaching people about sustainability, healthy eating, a deeper way to look inside of their own life and into the world around them, which is the magical thing. And at the same time, it's still new. It's jumping up and it's fresh. It's still evolving. When I show up at a festival and I see like, okay, I'm like a minority here, but at the same time, the festival is amazing. They're really like all about looking beyond color. They're all about looking beyond race and really grounding that in. And so I think that it's a magical thing for the new evolution of that to say, okay, I notice that something is different here, and then starting the conversation from there.
If we want people to have more diversity, because I think diversity is so powerful. I think diversity is such a great tool so people feel the inclusivity of an experience. And I think a part of it is to program it diversely. I always wonder as a performer, why do I go to this event and 90% of the people are European white males performing, let alone even women, let alone even African Americans or Latin people or different genres of music. You'd be surprised how many times I've tried to submit for a festival and talk to a producer, and I've literally, not all the time, but certainly a few times, where people have said, we don't really book hip-hop music. And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Under the guise of being a quote-unquote peaceful or conscious or, transformational festival, I think that's a very, not only questionably racist thing to say, but also a very, judgmental thing to say.
Raise your flags, get it in, spirit swag on them, don't be scared. Raise your flag, get it in, Spirit swag on them. Spirit swag, yes.
It's growing, it's booming, it's happening. You know, that's why we're all here. Getting to know about it, getting to know the groups of people that have this knowledge and of consciousness and yoga and connection and conscious living and eating and lifestyle. And that's what it is. It's a lifestyle, and it can be taught, and it can be, shared. And I don't care if you're black, white, purple, brown. The more that we spread it and the more that we share it, like Jay was saying, it shouldn't even matter anymore.
When you got into meditation, into spirituality, which is not, something that's really common in Bed-Stuy, right? What was the reaction of people in that community to you getting involved?
First off, I don't care. It's so important to me that it's like I'm going in that direction, So my approach has always been like setting the example, like how am I being nourished by the practices, by the community. And when people see the transformation, I'm a lot more centered, a lot more clear, a lot more productive, then they ask questions like, oh, what are you doing? Or this thing is possibly working, It's always strange. Anything that people don't understand, they tend to fear, and they tend to like have more boundaries around. Like we created this video, Radha Ramana. It's like a hip hop video that meets mantra. And we're at the corner store, but we're also at the yoga studio, I got some good pushback from the Indian community, and they were like, you can't do that. You can't like mix hip hop with mantra. And I was like bewildered, At the same time, I felt really good that I was getting hated on. I was like, oh yeah, nice. I'm getting hated on. That means I'm moving forward. This is like the pushback from the people that don't know, because they don't know what it is, and then the pushback from people that really know what it is, and they're like, I know what that is, that's not it, kind of thing.
Right. But really, it's something new.
Yeah, it's just something new. Yeah.
Sri and I were just at Bhakti Fest, very, conscious spiritual type festival. And, we saw the, a larger group of people of color, and we're just like, yes, this is great. This is awesome.
For me, like the most powerful person I could think of is like Michael Jackson, right? Like you put on Michael Jackson, what happens? Right, everyone dances, right? It's not white, black, whatever. He'll change the mood and the frequency of the room, like in the fastest way possible. You put on Billie Jean right now, everyone in here is gonna dance. So like that is the ultimate power. And people don't not listen to Michael Jackson because he's black. Like no, they don't even think about that, right? So I feel like there's ways of engaging with people that are above. There's like different levels, right? So I try to reach people at that place.
It's so funny because no matter if we call ourselves conscious or unconscious or whatever label or word, doesn't even matter with language. Everyone has the human emotions, the same ones, pain and anger and judgment and, sadness. We all experience these emotions regardless of where you come from, what color you are, what community, how big or small your community is, how much money you have. I think I trust that, at least that's for me, my intention, that people will hear the words of what we're all sharing and be inspired to implement in a genuine way whatever it is they're doing, so more diversity can be created.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I hope you found this conversation insightful. Please subscribe and comment below.